Oh, fuck this movie.
Welcome to Bucket of Chum, the Shark Movie Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Bucket of Chum, the Shark Movie Podcast. I am your host, Steve Coates, and this week I had the displeasure of watching 90210 Shark Attack, directed by David Duchovny, whose name you probably recognize from Full Moon movies. He's directed Puppet Master 3, Sorority Babes, and the Slimeball Bolorama. Try and say that 5 times fast. And also starring Donna Wilkes, who you would recognize from Jaws 2 and a little movie called Angel. Yeah, so I didn't have high hopes for this movie. Don't get me wrong, but I definitely was expecting a little bit better than what we fucking got. I have often said that Shark Exorcist is probably the worst shark movie I have ever seen. This movie knocks it out of its place. Like, good God. I'm going to dive into this thing, so let's just get to it. The opening shots of this movie, they really want you to know that you're in Beverly Hills. They show the Beverly Hills sign, like, I don't know how many fucking times, and then just, like, shots of the beach, and, like, this just fucking goes on. And, like, I actually feel like even with the plot of this movie, there actually could have been something here, but it's like, I don't know if anybody's ever seen the movie Star Kid, but there's this movie from like 1997 called Star Kid, and this kid finds a little robot thing. Anyways, there's this scene where they go to a fast food restaurant. The robot eats like a hamburger, but he's like eating it to like give it to the kid, but he basically ends up taking like all the nutrients and good shit out of it and basically feeds the kid shit. That's basically what this movie is. We are just fed shit from beginning to end. It is fucking awful. So yeah, we got tons of stock footage. We're in Beverly Hills. Yeah, in case you didn't get that, we're in fucking 90210 Beverly Hills. Awesome. And then we also have like intercut stock footage of sharks, but then we also have intercut footage of CGI sharks swimming, which as I go further on, you're going to realize how fucking pointless and ridiculous this is. And then even at one point, there's a little animation of two people and a shark surfing, and like the shark grabs the surfer and like, oh. And the background music sounds like fucking background music for a YouTube video. Like they just pulled the first stock music that came up and just fucking slapped it on. Anyways, at one point, a CGI shark comes at the camera, and then that's when we get the title, 90210 Shark Attack. Big fucking whoop. There is a short narration at the beginning of the movie done by one of our main characters, Alyssa. She talks about how she's heard of the great white shark, but she didn't know just how dangerous they were until today. So that we get this opening scene, it's kind of in like black and white, so we already know that this is like sort of a flashback. Pamela, played by Donna Wilkes, goes up to Alyssa and says, we should talk more about what happened. And then she looks down and she sees a dead body by the pool and she's like, oh my God. And then title card comes up 24 hours earlier. Already, shitty fucking start to this movie. Completely pointless. Anyways, so we're at this large house in Beverly Hills, just in case anybody forgot where we were. These two people enter this house, Bryce and Marcy. Marcy is this ditzy fucking blonde girl who is, her and her boyfriend Bryce are like the two most annoying characters in this fucking movie. Marcy comes in and she's like, oh, this place is too small. The front foyer of this house is bigger than my fucking kitchen. Like, it's so stupid. Like, she's just such a prissy little bitch. It's frustrating. Like, it infuriates me to see these two characters on screen. Her boyfriend, Bryce, says that he got his dad to rent the place and say something about being in a class. We later learn that they're in like an oceanographic class or some shit. Marcy says, oh, there's going to be so much science stuff and the salt water isn't good for my skin. I already hate these two and I hope they fucking die. As I've said before, good God, they're just so annoying. And it just seems like they don't want to be a part of this at all. So I don't even know why they're here. It's actually kind of like Two-Headed Shark Attack, where, you know, everybody's part of a class, but then there's those few people that are, you're like, why are they here? Why the fuck are they doing this? This is nonsense. So then Marcy goes on to explain everyone's going to be there soon. Bryce says that he drove there fast and gave some other girl wrong directions, so that way they would, you know, have some time to themselves. So they head upstairs to go play hide the pickle. And as soon as they do, Jess and Tyler enter the house. They see Bryce and Marcy's bags there. Tyler says he can take a guess where the other two are. Yeah, they're fucking, obviously. He thanks Jess for the ride, and she says no problem. And she just seems infatuated with him. Like, she is obsessed with this dude. We also learn that they're waiting for their teacher, Mrs. Vanson, or Vance. I can never properly hear how they're pronouncing this name. I'm going with Miss Vanson, Pamela, Donna Wilkes' character. So she's the teacher. Jess says that she's super excited for this oceanic field trip tomorrow. She's just super stoked about this. She's kind of like the nerdy girl in this class, like the goody two-shoes, I guess. Jess goes upstairs and we can hear sex noises from Bryce and Marcy. And so now we're inside their room and Bryce exclaims, now that's what I'm talking about. And Marcy's like, I know. I think I almost finished. And Bryce says, oh, you finished. And she's like, I did? And he's like, yeah, you're with me. And she's like, oh, nice. What? What are we? Oh, my God. Dumbest conversation I've heard in a movie in a long time. Completely pointless, fucking stupid. I'm just getting mad even just thinking about this movie. I was mad watching this movie, and now I'm mad thinking about it and talking about it. Good God. At this point, Jess accidentally walks into their room and apologizes. Bryce says, hey, no worries, join in if you want. Marcy just kind of gives him like a blank, dumb stare, and Jess says no, stumbling on her words, obviously. And then Bryce tells her, like, oh, go get my bags. And Jess just like, oh, yeah, sure. And then closes the door. Like, asshole. Like, he's just telling some random person to go get his bags for him because he's some rich fucking dick. Spoiler alert, he's the first one to die, and it's fucking great. Marcy, like, playfully slaps Bryce, and it's like, oh, that was so mean. And he was like, hey, I offered her a threesome. What else do you want from me? Anyways, Jess hears a noise as she's grabbing the bags. It's Tyler at the pool. She walks over to, like, the back door and just starts, like, ogling at this guy, like, just so hard. He takes his shirt off, and he's, like, getting by the pool. He jumps in. He's getting all wet. And then he starts drying off, like, his abs. And we focus on that for, like, a long fucking time. And this whole time, his hair is bone dry. So he wouldn't even get his hair wet because it's all fucking spiked up. So he probably didn't want to ruin it. And it's shot like a softcore porn, but with less boobs and somehow even worse storytelling. I don't know how they managed to pull that off, but fuck, they did it. After that, Miss Vanson, Pamela, comes into the house. Marcy and Bryce come down the stairs. Pamela asks, what have they been up to? Wink, wink. And Bryce says, oh, just checking the place out, and he's going to let his dad know everything's good. Ugh, I hate him so much. Anywho, she then reminds them that this is a working field trip and the others, I guess the rest of the class, is on their way in. And this whole time, like, Marcy's shirt is undone. Like, she's just in her bra underneath. Like, she just does, they don't give a fuck. Like, they're just going to be fucking this whole weekend and they don't care who knows. And they clearly don't give a shit about this class. So then Alyssa walks in. Bryce comments on her being weird. Like, they clearly don't like each other. Whatever, who cares? Pamela goes and tells everybody to get ready and meet up in the living room. This other character, Denny, walks in carrying a bunch of bags. Alyssa goes upstairs to pick out her room. She then sits on her bed and she's like fondling a shark-toothed necklace she's wearing. Denny knocks on the door and he comes in, gives her bags. These two actors look like they should be in a fucking Twilight movie. Like, just their look and everything. I'm just like, yeah, it's like they pulled them right out of the Twilight movies. It's so weird. That's all I can think about every time they fucking came on screen. Denny talks about how excited he is for this class, and he says he's heard Alyssa's dad was like some big ocean explorer. And she says, yeah, well, what about it? He's like, I read some articles online is all. And then he just like awkwardly leaves the room. Downstairs, everyone's waiting in the living room. Bryce and Marcy are all over each other, kissing and just being pretty fucking obnoxious overall. Pamela warns them to like keep their hands off each other. Then she thanks everyone for taking this elective class, blah, blah, blah. And then she says, thanks to some generous donations, they're spending the weekend in this beautiful house. And then Bryce stands up and he says, you're welcome, everybody. Douche. They're planning 2 boat trips to study various marine life and the impact on native peoples through time. Marcy, this stupid person, asks if for her term paper thingy, she can interview her parents because they live near the ocean and they're in time. Somebody shoot me or tape her mouth shut. Oh my god. Pamela explains they need to go a bit further back in time, but Marcy says her parents have been in the yacht club for 20 years. How the fuck did this girl get in college? How? Like, how many dicks did she have to suck to get there? Because she is stupid. Oh my god. And then Tyler asks if he can make a short film because he wants to go to film school, and he says that his other classes have allowed him to make a short film in lieu of like an essay or something. And she says, maybe we'll make a compromise, but we'll talk about it later. Of course, Bryce makes fun of him. He's like, oh, who the fuck are you, Spielberg? Stupid. Now, Pamela explains Alyssa's father was a very important person in their field of oceanic anthropology. Pamela asks Alyssa if she can help the others out since she often went on expeditions with her father, but she says she was little, doesn't really remember much, so she's not really going to be much help. And then Jess, this fucking nerdy brain girl, comes in and says Alyssa's father made a lot of enemies, and he had a history of exploiting native cultures and selling their ancient artifacts, and Alyssa exclaims, this isn't true. And then Jess says it's still a mystery how he died. Alyssa's all offended by this, so she runs up to her fucking bedroom. Pamela gives Jess shit for bringing all that crap up. Like, yeah, you're a shitty person talking about her dead dad. Like, keep it to yourself, all right? Bryce and Marcy are like, oh, let's go to the hot tub. And then Denny gives Jess a look, and Jess is like, what? She shouldn't get a better grade because her dad died. It's not fair. And then she just walks away. So she's terrible too. Everybody's terrible. There are 0 redeeming characters in this fucking bunch. And every time somebody uses the stairs in this place, it's always from like the same fucking camera angle. So the camera like stays at the bottom. We follow them all the way up the stairs and then partially down the hallway, and then we cut. It's the same. And they do the same shots over and over in this whole movie, and repeating of stock footage. Oh, it's just so uninteresting to look at. So now Pamela goes up to Alyssa's room and she apologizes for bringing up her dad. And Alyssa says she's not really sure why she took the class, and she hasn't even thought about the ocean since her dad's disappearance 5 years ago. And she says she needs to move on. She always had the idea that her father would come back. Pamela says that maybe she took the class to deal with her dad's death. And then Alyssa's like, I can't go to the ocean tomorrow. I'm not ready. Like, you joined a fucking oceanic class and you're not even going to do any of the field work. Like, why are you here? There's no reason for you to fucking be here. But Pamela says, oh yeah, that's fine. But then she's like, oh, maybe writing about your dad will help you cope. It'll be a good coping mechanism. I mean, I guess, but who the fuck are you to tell her that? It's back downstairs in the kitchen. Jess, Denny, and Tyler are in there, and Jess starts explaining how Alyssa's dad supposedly died, but she's saying it like it's fact. I guess they don't know for sure, or I don't know. It's very strange. So he found a band of indigenous Indians off the coast of Mexico that worshipped a giant great white that hunted in the area. And Scotty, Alyssa's dad, had a history of robbing indigenous cultures like talismans and then selling them. And so apparently he gained the trust of his tribe, figured out how to find the shark, organized a group of wealthy fishermen, and they killed the tribe's god. And then Scotty disappears a day before they were going to sail away with the shark's body. They never found his body, and the tribe seemed to disappear after all this happened, and there's rumors that he's been cursed. So a whole lot of backstory that sounds super interesting. None of it fucking matters, and I definitely would have rather watched a story about Alyssa's dad and this, like, shark god thing. Like, that would have been such a better fucking movie, but no, here we are. We just get to hear about this from three fucking morons. So Pamela comes in, she announces that dinner is going to be delivered soon and reminds them that they need to get up early, and she needs to find Bryce and Marcy before they do something that'll get her fired. She goes outside, she finds them by the pool, says dinner will be delivered soon, and then Bryce says if she could deliver it on a silver platter, that'd be great. Go die, Bryce. Ugh. Then she says, I'm only going to say this once. If either one of you causes a problem, mouths off, or gets in trouble, you're going to spend the rest of the time in your room and get an F for the class. Then she asks if they understand. Marcy says, yes, in like this super dumb, annoying way. And then now it looks like nighttime. Pretty sure they shot day for night. Tyler walks in the house. He heads upstairs and enters Pamela's room. He calls out for her, but she's not there. He checks out the room so goddamn slowly. Like, I've never seen anybody move through a bedroom so goddamn slow in my entire life. He wanders into the bathroom. He turns on the shower and starts undressing. And then we get a male shower scene. Not something you see a lot of. So, I mean, at least they did something different. I will give it one compliment, and that is it. And at this point, we're also confused as to why is he showering in her bathroom and why isn't he using any soap? He is just rubbing water on his body for the camera. That's it. Back in Alyssa's room, she's still there fingering her fucking necklace some more. Pamela walks in, asks how she is, how dinner was, and that when she gets back tomorrow, maybe they can talk some more about her father. She leaves. Pamela goes into her room. She hears the shower running, so she goes to the bathroom. She sees Tyler showering, and then she just like stands there, watches him, and smiles. And this goes on for a while. And all I'm thinking is, where's the fucking shark? Where is the shark in this movie? Like, good God. Like, this is halfway through the movie at this point, and there are no shark attacks. This movie's only like an hour and 15 minutes long. I'm already halfway through at this point, and it's just abs and stupidity. That's all we've gotten so far. Tyler gets out of the shower, and he says, so Teach, you like what you see? She's like, I do, but you'll have to do some extra credit. And then he's like, aren't I already? You should be paying me now. And then she's like, you'll get yours when I get mine. That's always been the agreement. And then she leaves the bathroom. Tyler says he was just kidding and then follows her out into the bedroom. So weird. So these two are obviously fucking doing it. So Tyler asks if everything's all right with Alyssa. She says, yeah, she's going to talk about her dad. And Tyler says, see, like, you're on your way to a bestseller already. And he's like brushing her hair and rubbing her back. He asks if Alyssa was with her father when he disappeared. She says yes, but she doesn't remember that. So Pamela's trying to get her to remember. She says it makes a difference between a bestseller and a movie based on a bestseller. Oh, wow. Tyler asks, who's going to play him in the movie. She says if it all works out, he can play himself. Pamela says they need to get that egghead Jess on their side. So she's going to get her lawyer to hire her as a researcher or something. And then at this point, Tyler reveals that she's not a real teacher. So he says, like, this fake teacher stuff is going to pay off. And then she says the book is going to make her a lot of money. And then, of course, Tyler's like, oh, hey, us a lot of money. Oh, yeah, of course. God, who fucking cares? Where's the shark? So they hear some noise downstairs, and Pamela immediately says, oh, Bryce. And then Tyler says, if you don't kill him first, I'm going to. If they don't, I will. Like, somebody needs to, right? Pamela says, Tyler better sleep in his own bed tonight so they don't get caught. So Pamela leaves the room to go investigate the noise. So she's downstairs. She finds Jess and Denny standing out in the room, and they tell her Bryce and Marcy are in there, and Denny thinks they've been drinking, and Jess, reaffirms alcohol. Yeah, we fucking knew that, Jess. Thanks for nothing, you stupid. She's supposed to be the smartest one here. Good God. Pamela tells them to go upstairs, and Jess says, okay, but they're underage, and it's against school rules to drink at any school function. Blah, blah, blah. Prissy brown-nosing shit I don't care about. Pamela goes to the room. Marcy and Bryce are like fucking tanked on the floor. Like they're drunk. Bryce tells Marcy to be quiet, and she's like, oh, but it was in the drawer, and I broke the drawer. Who cares? Pamela asks, like, what are they doing? Bryce says his dad always leaves a bottle in the cabinet, but it was locked. Then asks if she wants a swig. So this is the second time Bryce has, like, contradicted whether this house is rented or his dad owns it, because earlier in the living room, he said it's a house his dad keeps on the side or something, but when they first came in, he clearly said his dad had rented it. I mean, unless he means he rented it out to the school, I don't know, but it's a plot hole, it's a stupid one, but it's just something I noticed. Pamela tells him to go to bed and to forget about going on the trip tomorrow. Bryce says, oh no, now I'll never get into college. Oh, except for all my dad's money, and then him and Marcy laugh about it. God damn, I am so fucking sick of Bryce and Marcy at this point. Next morning, Alyssa fingers her necklace at the kitchen table some more. Pamela comes in and says she's sorry about Bryce and Marcy having to stay behind. They're staying behind because they're fucking hungover and they need to sleep this shit off. Pamela starts flattering Alyssa. She says she reminds her of herself when she was younger and she can't wait to get to know her. Great. So then we're back upstairs. Bryce enters his room. Marcy is still passed out on the bed. He sees the car driving off. He wakes up Marcy and says he wants to have a little fun with Alyssa before everyone else gets back. So Alyssa is walking outside by the pool. Bryce watches her for a second and then he walks over to her, sits down, starts talking to her, and then we see Marcy come out of the house, and then she stands next to a wall hiding from Alyssa and Bryce, and she starts recording the two of them with her phone. Alyssa asks where Marcy is, and Bryce says she's probably still sleeping. He says he just wanted to get to know Alyssa better because she seems cool. Yeah, okay. And of course, Alyssa says, like, no, you're just making fun of me. Nobody likes me. That's what she says. Bryce says he's a man and all he has is his word, and that he really likes her, and he just doesn't know how to act around girls he likes. Go die, Bryce. Good God. But then, of course, Alyssa says that she likes him as well. Then he starts rubbing his hand on her thighs and says he loves her. And then he's like, do you love me? And she says, yeah, I guess. And then he says, tell me. So she says, oh, I love you. They kiss. Marcy is still against the wall, laughing while recording. And then she's like, oh, I can't wait to upload this, stupid Alyssa. Then as soon as they finish kissing, Alyssa's head turns into a shark, a terrible CG shark, and goes to bite off Bryce's head. The camera cuts, so we don't see that, but it bites off his head. This is 47 minutes into an hour and 15-minute movie, and we are just now finally getting a fucking shark attack. And it's not even in the ocean. In a movie about a class that studies the ocean, and the shark attack happens at a fucking house because of this necklace. Spoiler alert, it's because of the necklace that she turns into a shark. Yeah, that's what it is. So we see Bryce's body laying by the pool, and it looks like it's the same shot from the beginning of the movie, which doesn't make any sense, but we'll get to that later. Marcy screams and runs away, and now all of a sudden it's later on. Pamela, Tyler, Jess, and Denny get in the house. They thank Pamela for the trip. Pamela goes outside, she calls out for Bryce and Marcy or anybody else, and she doesn't see anybody, and then goes back inside. And this whole thing is done in like one fucking take where we look at her leave the house, goes across the front yard, goes to the pool, calls out everybody, no one's there, walks all the way back, like just filler. Like, this movie is just scenes of filler. It's like they actually had a better movie, but instead of seeing that movie, we got all the scraps off the cutting room floor. That's kind of what this feels like. So then Pamela goes back inside. She's walking through the house, looking for anybody. She gets to Alyssa's room. Alyssa's sleeping. And then we cut to stock footage of sharks, the sinister music playing, CGI shark footage. And this is where the CGI shark footage comes in and doesn't make any fucking sense, because it's just sharks in the water. Like, they already had stock footage of this. So why did they have to do like CGI footage? It doesn't make any sense. These sharks aren't attacking people. It's Alyssa turning into a shark attacking people. So it makes zero fucking sense. I don't know. I'm speechless. I have no words for it because it's so fucking stupid. So Pamela comes in the room, intercut with the shark footage. Alyssa wakes up. She says she was having a bad dream. Pamela asks like where Bryce and Marcy are. Alyssa says like they were there earlier, but now she can't remember. Pamela says, oh, well, they probably took off, I guess. And Alyssa says, they'll probably be back. She's sure they will be. Pamela then asks if she's hungry, and Alyssa is like, no, I'm actually pretty full. I wonder why. Denny heads out to the pool. He finds Marcy's phone on the ground, and he watches the last recording, and we can kind of hear the carnage and just see his reaction. He heads inside the house. At the pool, Tyler sits down. He's all wet. Jess is like, oh my god, Tyler, you're so good. You should be on the swim team. Ugh. More of this, like, fucking lovey-dovey nonsense, which is... It's just dumb. I'm just still mad at this point. Denny comes in the front door, and he quietly calls for Alyssa. Alyssa comes in the room behind him, like, kind of startles him. She apologizes for scaring him, and he's like, oh yeah, I wasn't scared. But then admits that he was trying to be all tough, I guess. I don't know. And then she says, it's okay, Denny. Us quiet ones need to stick together. And rubs his shoulders and walks away. I don't know what the point of that scene was. No fucking idea. She goes into the kitchen. Pamela's there trying to figure out what happened to Bryce and Marcy. And then she notices Alyssa is in a good mood and says she looks better. Alyssa admits she feels energized. Probably because she's just eaten 2 fucking people. And then Alyssa now says she remembers that she was there when her dad died. Pamela says like, wow, that's wonderful. Alyssa thanks Pamela, and Pamela asks like what else she remembers. Alyssa says she remembers a great white shark, a big one. And then Pamela asks if she remembers what else happened. And she says, no, not yet. But the shark is powerful and is hungry for food. Okay, that's cool. Pamela says she's going to make a few more phone calls to go see what the other kids are up to. Again, fucking pointless. Like, and then she doesn't even question like what she's talking about with the shark nonsense. Just, I don't know, stupid. Back at the pool, Tyler is flirting with Jess. Alyssa watches this while fingering her fucking necklace still. Jess and Tyler kiss. And Tyler says it might be fun to do a few things with her later. And she says, oh, you remind me of a shark. Once you smell blood, you won't quit. And then he's like, he knew that's why he liked her. Is she on her period? Like, is that, sniffing blood? I don't know. It was just a really weird sentence. And yeah, it was just a weird interaction. Very strange. Tyler leaves and he goes to the house. Alyssa is still just fingering her fucking necklace, watching. She goes to the pool and sees Jess. She says she likes what she said about Tyler being a predator. And then Alyssa turns into Sharkface, and now Jess is dead, I guess. Whatever. She's dead. That's it. Denny's in his room watching the cell phone footage again. This time we see the footage, but it's the same. It's just footage from the movie. So it's the shot of the front of Bryce and Alyssa, but Marcy was behind Bryce and Alyssa when this happened. So, this makes zero fucking sense. They couldn't afford to just shoot cell phone footage. And, yeah, it's stupid. It makes no sense. Whatever. He sees Pamela and says, he needs to talk to her. And she's like, this could wait. I have shit to do. So she just goes upstairs. Denny lurks around downstairs. He hears Tyler and Pamela talking upstairs. Pamela says she needs to call her publisher because Alyssa is starting to remember what happened. Pamela says the only reason they're there is to get the story from Alyssa. He pulls her into the bedroom so he can sex her up, probably. Denny sneaks upstairs. He looks in the room and says to himself, "I won't let you hurt her, you bitch." He says it pretty loud, like they should have been able to hear him, but they don't. Denny sees Alyssa downstairs and says he needs to talk to her, and he says he overheard something and says he knows that she has powers. She says she doesn't know what he's talking about. He says, "It's okay, I'll help you figure it out." But whatever Pamela says she's doing to help, she's not. She's a liar. And then Denny explains about the book and, she's just there to get Alyssa's father's story and all that. Alyssa doesn't believe him. And then he says she's sleeping with Tyler and she set the whole weekend up to get her and her story about her dad. And Alyssa's like, "No, Pamela wouldn't do that." And Denny says, well, ever since she got to their school, all she's done is try to get close with Alyssa. And then Denny confesses his love for her. She says she knows and that she's always known. And then she goes, "Give me a little kiss." He says he's dreamed about this. She says, "Let's go upstairs." Drags him to her room. She pushes him on the bed, turns into shark face. So I guess Denny's dead now too, but again, we don't fucking see anything. But yep, Denny's dead. Great. Pamela and Tyler are in bed and hear the noise. They brush it off. Pamela kicks Tyler out of bed when her publisher calls. She just tells him she's made a breakthrough, and that's it. Like, we get no new information from the scene. It's fucking pointless. Now, back at the pool, Alyssa's sitting down. Tyler sits next to her. He says there's something different about her. There's something sexy about her. She asks if he wants to see something sexy. He says, yeah. She says, "Open up and say, ah." He gets excited. She turns into shark face. Now Tyler's dead. Cool. Like, yeah, as I said earlier, I'm convinced this movie just took the scraps off a cutting room floor, slapped it together, and then put it out there. Like, it's complete nonsense. Pamela starts wandering around the house looking for Alyssa, and at this point, we're back where the movie started. So that shot of Bryce in the pool earlier is now actually the shot of Tyler in the pool. Yeah, they just reused the same shot for two different people. I guess they couldn't afford to do it that day. So there we are. Pamela says they need to talk about what happened. She sees Tyler's body. Alyssa says she remembers everything now. She says her father was killed by the tribe in Mexico, the one that worshipped the great white shark, and then they cursed her with her father's blood and the tooth. And then Alyssa says, no, it changes her. And then Pamela asks, like, well, how? And then Alyssa says her father used to tell her once there's blood in the water, there's no hope. Alyssa asks if Pamela really wants to know. Pamela says, like, no. Alyssa says, yeah, you really do. And then Pamela's like, yeah, I guess I do. And then Alyssa says she'll show her, but first, kiss me. Turns into shark face. Roll credits. Yeah, that's the end of that fucking movie. That's it. That's all there is to it. Absolutely pointless. This movie, at the very least, could have probably been like 45 minutes. So, like, every time Alyssa turns into shark face, as I've been calling her, it cuts to the same stock shot of, like, the Hollywood Hills or something. Like, it's just the same shot every time she does this. I don't know what else to say about this movie. It is absolutely my least favorite movie I have ever watched for the podcast. I'm so glad I never have to watch this again. It was just so disappointing. I mean, I know Dave Duchovny doesn't have, like, a great track record, but I was hoping, you know, using his experience from, like, Puppet Master 3 and shit, that we could have gotten something decent, but we didn't. Like, this movie is just pure dumpster fire garbage. Whatever you do, I don't recommend this movie. Don't watch it. Go watch something better. And I mean, I chose this movie because I thought it was going to be, like, wacky and wild, and I was just kind of, you know, the last couple of movies with Shark Lake and Red Water, kind of about the same thing, more middle of the road. So I'm like, I want to get back more into some crazy shit. Well, this was a mistake. So hopefully next week will be better. That's all I have this week, guys, for Bucket of Chum, the Shark Movie Podcast. As always, check me out on my socials at Bucket of Chum Podcast on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and the Slasher app. And also recently just launched bucketofchumpodcast.com, so you can find out more information there. Send me a message. Let me know how you're liking the show. Leave a review and rating, and I'll see you guys next week for another episode of Bucket of Chum, the Shark Movie Podcast.
Thanks for listening to Bucket of Chum, the Shark Movie Podcast.